This is Seasway Podcast, and I'm here today with my co-host, Patricia. For many immigrants, as well as even those who are born here in Canada, there can be very little knowledge with taxes and what to do with them. Today, we are privileged to have in our midst a senior consultant, a founder of Zebra Crossing. He's an expert in everything taxes. He has a master's degree in business management, and he's a certified public accountant. Guess what? We are talking to none other than Dallas Gumbo. Dallas, thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here and to share some sentiments.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us, Dallas. Please walk us through the process of filing taxes.
Well, filing taxes might sound nightmarish or scary somewhat, but it's a very routine process that each and every Canadian has to go through. For the most part, I think we all hear lots about taxes and taxes, but it's a very organized process. And more often than not, personal taxes, you just walk in with your T4s that are all employer generated and given to every other Canadian who's got a job. Those who have no jobs, or those who have other sources of income from elsewhere, maybe from the social assistance system, they would have T5007s or some other slips that they get to file their taxes off of. So it's a very organized process. If you have your T4, if you were working last year, you just use those documents to file your taxes.
Great, thank you so much. So we know we are in the tax season. How long does it end? Like from February to whenever?
Yes, so tax season itself, technically it runs from mid-February towards the end of February, maybe the 22nd of February, going up to April 30th. That's the structured window. And within that window, you can do your taxes. If you're owing the government, you don't get to incur any extra penalties if you are able to file within that window. But that doesn't mean to say that taxes cannot be filed any other time of the year. You can still continue to file your taxes. Only downside being that if you are owing anything to the Federacy, then you get to be penalized for filing late after April 30th.
Oh, so what happens if I file my tax after and I don't owe the government?
If you don't owe the government anything, nobody talks to you.
Okay.
You just get your refund given to you. And unfortunately, the government is not obligated to give you any interest on the money that they might have been owing.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I forget a certain tax deduction that I didn't get to do, can I refile my taxes? Can I file my taxes twice?
You can file your taxes as however many times you choose to. You can do a refile and get to include whatever you would have missed. Although in some instances it might be costly to be doing that, because now you have to be going to somebody who's going to be doing the refiling for you. There could be charges incurred in that process.
Okay. So I filed my tax, my return has already come, and I just realized, I had this T4 that I forgot to add. Do I have to take it back, or I can keep it and use that for next year?
T4s are calendar year specific. So if it's a 2021 tax slip, it has to be filed for that particular tax year. If you happen, there's two instances that you can pursue. If you found it early enough in the year and you think it might benefit you to refile and maybe get a big, where you got a refund of $1,000 and you think in refiling it you might get an additional $400.
Yes.
Then you can do a refile for it.
Okay.
Certainly it's gonna help you. But On the flip side, if you happen to include that T-slip and the government is the one that's supposed to benefit from that particular scenario, even if you didn't file it, the government will catch on to you later on and realize that, oh, there's some income that you didn't disclose in taxes. Then they will adjust and do a reassessment on your file and then send you a notice that you are now owing us some extra dollars that you didn't factor in the taxes.
I don't want that to happen. Hello, if you are joining us right now, this is this way podcast, and we are here with Dallas Gumbo. He is an expert in everything taxes, and Patricia, my co-host, is also here. Please keep listening.
And Dallas, sometimes we do cash gigs. Is it? Do I have to pay taxes on our cash gigs, or is there anything called cash gigs in Canada, or tips?
Tips, yes.
Yeah, it's tips. Yeah.
Essentially, any form of income that you generate during the calendar year, because taxes are calendar year specific, January 1st to December 31st. Any income that you get to receive during the course of the year is supposed to be included in your taxes. And depending on how you're getting these cash gigs, you might assume that, okay, maybe I can just do my taxes without exactly including this.
Yeah.
It's a choice that some people might make, but the jeopardy with that is that in certain instances where the government gets to latch on to the fact that you had some tips that you received and you didn't include them in your income, you get to be reassessed, and now all of a sudden you're owing taxes. So any form of income is taxable. It all has to be going into your tax filing.
Awesome.
Systems.
Yes, it's crazy. So gifts, tips, everything needs to go into it. I'm just wondering. I have another question for you, Dallas, and that's like sometimes you file your tax, you make big money, and the following year you work and you're like, oh, because I made this big money, I'm going to make big money of the returns.
Yes.
And then you go file your tax and you don't get anything. So why does that system work?
I've been asked questions of how much money do I really have to make to be able to get a refund?
Yes.
And I think that goes side by side with that kind of question you're asking. In reality, what you end up getting back in your taxes is taxes you paid. Taxes that get deducted from your T-slips during the course of the year are the taxes that you get to claim at the end of the year. So what actually happens is during the course of the year, the employer doesn't know your circumstances. They don't know that you're a single parent. They don't know that you have donations that you've done to church.
Yes.
So those circumstances are the ones that we get to invoke or apply at the end of the year to say this particular individual had an income of $60,000. They paid $11,000 in taxes, but now that we know at the end of the year they had RRSPs that they contributed that reduced that $60,000 income. They had donations that we also have to factor into their non-refundable tax credits. They have daycare fees that they paid. So end of the day, we look at it and say, you paid $11,000 in taxes, but because there's these other additional circumstances we're now factoring in, you should really only have paid $7,000 in taxes.
Then I get 5,000 back.
Then you get that difference back. That's how you get your tax. So it's a question of knowing those particular things that you might need to do during the course of the year that are going to favor you at taxes. Basically, that's what
That's
it's
interesting. So it's not how much money I make, but these factors will tell us how much taxes I'm taking home. So it's not like, okay, last year I made 30,000 and this year I made 42,000, so I'm going to get more taxes.
No.
And for us as immigrants, we come here, we look for second jobs. Some people do even 3 jobs. And at the end of tax season, we're thinking, since I was working so much, I made lots of money, I should be getting money back. So for somebody who's doing 2 jobs or 3 jobs, what do they have to know about taxes?
In essence, it's understanding the tax brackets also as to, I'll give you a scenario.
Okay.
Somebody makes 20,000 on a job. On that particular job, maybe taxes, give or take, will probably be about 1,500 that they have paid on that one job. If it's their only job, 1,500 might be enough, might be okay. Say the same person chooses to say, I'll get a second job. Same job pays exactly the same amount of 20,000. Now you've got 2 jobs running side by side, both of them paying you 20,000 and both of them deducting 1,500 in taxes from you, which might be the standard at the time. When you bring the 2 jobs together, all of a sudden you've got 40,000 on line 101 on your combined income from the 2 jobs.
Yes.
And the taxes you paid at 3,000. 1,500 is $3,000 paid. The downside though is that because your income is now at 40,000, the tax bracket has shifted on you.
And what is the tax bracket?
Tax bracket, basically, we go on saying tax bracket. It's a level, it's a rung that you get to. As soon as your income gets to this point, now we're saying, okay, at this level, you're going to be taxed at this much money. This is the rate that you're dealing with. It's 15% here, it's 10% in certain instances for low income people, and 18%, 22%. So as soon as that shifts at 40,000, 3,000 taxes taken from you are no longer enough. You now have to be in $5,000 taxes paid, almost, somewhat.
Yes.
At 40,000, we expect that you could be paid 5,000. So that means now you're in a deficit position with your 2 jobs coming together. So the more jobs you have, you just need to understand the metric that instead of you claiming the basic amount. I know for 2019, the basic amount that you could claim federally was 13,229, I believe. For 2021 taxes, the basic amount was 13,808. 1,398. Those numbers you really need to understand. As a Canadian, you can only claim that number once. If you have a second job and they give you a TD1 form, those forms that they give you when they're inducting you on a job, they tell you that take this number up here, drop it down here, and sign in the back, and you are employed. If it's a second job, my advice to people is make sure you don't claim that basic amount again, because you've already claimed it on the first job. And as a Canadian, you've only got that number once. If you get to claim it again on the second job, the third job, the fourth job, essentially what that number tells the employer is that at the end of the year, after you've done all your pay cycles, if it's 26 bi-weekly, if it's monthly, if it's this particular individual, if they are going to make 50,000, make sure that they only get taxed after the
14,000.
The 14,000, right?
Okay.
Anything below that is somewhat tax-free. If you get to claim that number on a multiple number of jobs, you are essentially not paying taxes on that number as many times you are. And at the end of the year, when we're roping your numbers together, we'll get to see that, you know what, essentially you ended up making 75,000. And you were claiming this number on all of them. You only paid taxes of 9,000 on that, and that's not enough. Now you're going to owe taxes.
you're gonna be in trouble. If
You're gonna be in
you've
trouble.
just joined us, this is Sizwe Podcast, and we are here with Dallas Gumbo. He's a certified public accountant, and like all of us in Canada, we file our taxes, and sometimes we feel like, oh, I was expecting more. But if you are claiming the tax brackets in all the 3 jobs that you are doing, you get yourself into trouble. That's my understanding.
Certainly.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
valuable knowledge.
I'll take a small jobs. So that's interesting. Do you have any other thing? I think we will want to bring you back, Dallas, because we have other questions that we want to ask you about donations. For example, if I file my tax but I have made donations to churches, how would that come to play?
Actually, donations work in the same space as the non-refundable that I was telling you about. What they do, on your non-refundable bracket of numbers, you'll find the same basic number that we were talking about, 13,808. You'll find your Canada amount, it's about 1,245 some. You'll find your CPP and EI numbers on there. And then if you happen to have donations, donations get to be added at the bottom there. After you've done those same numbers that I was listing, we do 15% of those numbers. And the value we get, we add a percentage of the donation. So in times someone will donate $1,000.
Yes.
And then the expectation most people is that, oh, I donated 1,000, I should get 1,000.
I'll get my 1,000 back.
But in actual fact, what you really get is only going to be a percentage, 29% on that. And that particular percentage gets to be added onto the non-refundable. Okay. And what do we do with that? The non-refundable, we use it to reduce your basic federal taxes that you then have to pay on the income you made, the taxable income.
Okay.
So it just reduces the taxes that you're supposed to pay, and overall, that same number is a number that factors directly on whether you're going to be getting a refund or you're going to be owing it.
So where did I get that idea from? That if I make a donation at my church, I'll get all that money back.
For me, I heard it was 60%. You get back 60%.
No, actually, no. It's but that's not the case. And knowledge is key on most of this stuff. And I think for the most part, with most of my clients, I think what I've learned is that, what I've been made aware of, is that in most instances, tax is in every account in the sub-business. Some spaces that we go to get our taxes filed, they are just way too busy to sit with you and explain some of these things. So if you're going to seek knowledge during the course of the year so that it helps you at taxes. And if you're lucky enough, you might come across someone who's willing to share more information with you and explain where the numbers are derived from. And I guess that's very vital for people. Information is key.
It's key.
Yeah. And we have this term tax refund versus tax return. Is it 2 different things or is just one thing?
It's essentially this one and the same thing. It's just terminology. Refund, tax return. You are hoping that you're going to get some money returned to you by the government, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the same thing. So I can call it a tax return, the money I got from the government.
Yeah.
And maybe Dallas, as an accountant, will call it a tax refund. Your tax refund is, and that's what I'm waiting for.
And then we have child tax benefits. Let's say me and my husband are divorced. Who gets the child tax benefit?
In essence, in most instances, there is when you actually separate. There's some custody arrangements that might need to be. Some of them are adjudicated upon by the courts with who's going to be taking the kids, who's going to be claiming the kids on their taxes. In certain arrangements, I've seen instances where one parent claims the kids this year, 2 years in a row, and then maybe 2 other years downstream, another parent gets to claim the kids. So
Oh.
the custody has to be clearly dotted out, because you can't both of you claim the kids
On
at this-
1 year.
on 1 year. In
Okay.
certain instances, some parents choose to say, okay, you are going to claim this.
Child A.
Yes, and then the other parent gets to claim. But all of those things need to be clearly cut out for CRI, because nothing needs to be ambiguous in any way.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you are just joining us, we are running to an end here, and we will bring Dallas back. If you haven't heard what he said, that Dallas is a certified accountant here in Edmonton. He is the founder of Zebra Crossing. So he does all things taxes and beyond. And I am here with Patricia. We've asked him a lot of questions, and if you want to know more, please log on to our Facebook page or on YouTube, and you can hear more. And before we go, Dallas, can we bring you back to ask you more questions about not just personal taxes, but other taxes that now we are not just immigrants, people are opening businesses here in Edmonton, and it broadens the idea of filing taxes, and we want you back. How about that?
Anytime, actually, I'll be willing to come and share some sentiments. I'll share the knowledge where I can.
Yeah, before we let Dallas go, I filed my taxes 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still waiting. For how long am I supposed to wait?
You're going to be rich.
It certainly depends. It depends on some of the other things that on the other side, because it depends how you file.
Okay.
If you file through some discounter firms that are able to pay you upfront, they'll give you the money upfront.
Oh.
And then, although it might be costly, it costs you more to do your
Yeah.
taxes that way, because the money they give you is their money. It's almost like they're borrowing you money before they get refunded
Yes.
by the CRI for what they give you. Timelines, normally in the normal scheme of things, if everything is good and dandy, within 2 weeks you'll be able to get your refund. That is not to say that exceptions don't happen. There's times where after you file CRA, some other stuff that before they give you the money back, they want to verify a few things. They'll
Yes.
probably want to verify that, hey, you said you divorced, can we get more information on your kids? And who's got full custody? Is it just yourself or your husband? Certain other things, you might be claiming things that actually shock the system, that, oh, you know what, she's got so much in medical expenses. Is that true? How sick would this individual be? Certain times you file your taxes, maybe you are claiming disability certificates that you might not exactly have. Maybe by touch of the wrong button, you get to tell the system that you've got credits that you're entitled to, but you might not be entitled to. So the system is a way, in certain instances, of stopping the process a bit while somebody verifies on the other side that you are certainly entitled to those. If they don't have the backup information, then they'll request that information before they pay anything to you.
Awesome.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's good information, Dallas. We have a lot to ask you, and we're going to be bringing you back soon, because we haven't finished about taxes. We have tuition fees, we have credits, we have RSPs to talk about, we have adoption fees,
Yes.
we have disabilities, and we'll be bringing you back to touch on those things. Also, we also have commercial taxes.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have taxes for non-profits that we have to cover. So,
Awesome.
Okay.
so we'll be inviting you back.
Thank you.
Thank you so
very
much. So if you just join us, we are bringing the curtains to a close right now. And my name is Agnes. My co-host is Patricia. And we were privileged to have in our midst today Dallas Gumbo, who is a certified accountant in everything accounting. Please join us next time. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.